To Diamond Kuts Barbershop. My name is Dave. I'm one of the barbers here, and this is going to be a 3-pass full tower, our basic shave. It has been edited for content as we go along, and we'll kind of explain some of the things that we are doing. Kyle, one of our clients, came in. Now what we're doing is just putting the water on to feel for any bumps, nooks, crannies. He does have one angry follicle on his chin that we've been looking at, so we'll try to stay away from that, but we do end up getting it a little bit. So we're just making sure that he doesn't have any lesions or any bumps or nicks or cracks or anything like that I have to be worried about when I'm actually doing the actual shave itself. So once we do that, then we'll prepare our lather. Now that our lather is prepared, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and whip it up and we'll put that on his face. And this is just basically a light lather just to get everything on there, because we are actually going to be massaging this lather into his face before his first hot towel. And we apply the lather the same way with a synthetic brush, and we're not worried too much about getting it deep into the pores at this point. That we will work in with our hands. And as you can see, we're working that in with our hands right now, just really getting it into the follicles. We're trying to activate the sebaceous glands to let them release some oil. It will make the shave much, much smoother, and it will actually work with the lather to make it slicker as well. Now we're going to go ahead and apply the first hot towel. These towels are about 175 degrees. We do cool them off a little bit before we put them on and warm the client as well. This is one of the most relaxing parts, and this steam towel will actually bring out with the soap everything to make the whiskers stand up, make them a little bit softer as well. We'll continue to whip up some more lather that we have in the bowl, and then once we remove that towel, we'll set up for our first pass. Now we'll reapply the lather, and we've added a little bit of water to make it a little bit slicker, but we're really digging in and we're really brushing this in very, very deeply. We try to spend as much time on this because this will actually set up the entire shave. The first pass that we will be doing will be with the grain on both sides, but we really spend a lot of time on this, both brushing the lather into the pores, getting it really into the skin to make that the whiskers very, very soft, and then we will set up for our shave, and we will brush it in with circular motions, and then we'll do a paintbrush stroke to build the lather once it's on the face. And as I said, we try to spend as much time on this portion because it will set up the success for the rest of the shave. We've already obviously set up our lather paper and everything else, so we're ready to go. We will position the client's head, and then we'll start. We're using a Feather DX folding straight razor with a Feather Pro Guard blade. This is for our basic shave. For our elite shave, we give the client the choice of using this or an actual straight razor. In the state of Arizona, we can do that. The nice thing about the Feather blades is they're very sharp, but the Feather Guard blades are also very protective of the skin for somebody who has sensitive skin. So here we're just doing mostly with the grain with a little bit of touch-up. And we have edited the other side of the face because it's basically the same thing. Diamond Kuts Barbershop is located at 15930 North Oracle Road in Catalina, just north of the Tucson area. And once again, we're continuing with the grain pass, and we'll continue that until we set up for the second hot towel. I find doing a full 3-pass shave with the grain, against the grain, and across the grain gives the client the BBS shave that they're looking for and paying for, quite frankly. So we're cooling off the second steam towel. And we are removing a lot of moisture from the face, and we'll actually put that all back in going forward. Now, the time that we allow on the hot towel, because like I said, we have edited, is a few minutes between each of the hot towels, and then we spend a little bit more time on the cold towel, which we'll get into in just a few moments. Okay, now we're applying the lather again for our second pass, which will be against the grain. We always ask the client if they're okay with against the grain, especially in our basic shave. And the lather that we use for our basic shave is a mixture of Purasso, which is an Italian cream soap, and the standard latherizer type lather, and it works pretty good if you have the water content correct and everything else. You can get a nice slick lather with it, especially if you use a lather bowl and actually whip up that lather a little bit more. So this is the same lather that we use for our lineups and for our neck shaves after each gentleman's haircut. Now in this case, Kyle, my friend, did come in and get a full haircut as well. So now we're going to start the against the grain pass. Now, in the initial water mapping of his face, we noticed where his growth pattern was, because not necessarily straight back up towards the head is against the grain. In his case, he has a fairly decent or a fairly normal growth pattern on his whiskers. So in this case, it was an upward backhand, a reverse, or an upward backhand stroke that allowed us to do the against the grain. Now, fortunately, I can, from a straight razor standpoint, I'm ambidextrous, so I can switch the razor from hand to hand to make sure that I get in the correct position, both in stretching the skin and pinching the skin when needed. Out of all the Barber razors out there, I do find that the Feather DX is the closest to an actual straight razor. It acts and behaves very similar to a straight razor. And as you can see in this shot, we did catch that one angry follicle that he did have, and we'll take care of that in a little bit. Now we're setting up for his next hot towel in preparation for the final across the grain pass. And as stated, we try to leave the towels on between 2 and 5 minutes, so this entire process of the shave takes about 30 to 35 minutes. And in a lot of cases, the client falls asleep, so if you noticed, we'll tap them on the shoulder just to let them know we're there. And for the majority of the second and third passes, we will actually do a paintbrush stroke. Now, this is also a cleanup pass, as most of you are probably used to. You know, a lot of times you'll do a cleanup pass with water. We go ahead and do this final pass with lather. It just makes it a little bit easier. We've got the lather, why waste it? And traditionally, we'll do the across the grain pass on the cheek area from ear to chin, and then depending on the growth pattern on the neck, it could be a secondary a secondary backhand stroke, but it will be with a scything action. Those of you that are into shaving will know it as the Gillette slide, which means that the razor is being pulled at a diagonal as well as a lateral position. It is something that you have to kind of master to do it right. And then we'll also use a little bit of lather, a little bit of water, because what I'm doing now is I'm just checking for any little tiny pieces or whiskers that I missed. I try to get everything I can at all angles to make sure that when we do the final check on the shave, that they do have north, south, east, and west BBS or baby butt smooth shaves. The only stroke that we do not do on the client on a backhand stroke is what they call the fool's pass, which is where on the lip that you would go from the bottom of the lip towards the nose. We don't feel that that's necessary because we can do lateral movements from ear to chin or from nose to ear on the lip area and get that area BBS very, very easy. And we're just doing a final check here to make sure we've gotten everything. And as you can see, I had already put the razor away, but we did have some areas that I wanted to touch up just in case. Now this client does have fairly sensitive skin, so we wanted to make sure as well. So now we're going to put another hot towel as we set up for the rest facial massage to put in all the because with the steam towels we've taken out a whole bunch of moisture. So what we're going to do is we're going to start putting that moisture back in a 3 or 4 step process. The first one being the rest facial massage. So what we're doing is we're steaming his face now, and then we'll come back with the it's an aloe vera based cold face cream, and that will put some of the moisture back into his face before we do the aftershave balm and the aftershave splash. And what we're doing now is the rest facial, and we'll apply this cream at the forehead area, the cheeks, the chin, and on the nose area, and then we'll emulsify the remainder in our hand, and then throw away the popsicle stick that we used to pull it out of the container. So now we're just basically emulsifying the cream before we start the actual facial massage. And depending on time and their schedule, we can do from 1 to 3 complete passes on their face for the facial massage. And then for our elite service, we actually use an Oster facial massager as well. And this is very relaxing for the client as well, as because we're actually massaging the back of the neck and doing the massage on the face as well. We will put one more hot towel to let that aloe vera steam into the face and re-moisturize. And then what most clients agree is probably the best part of the shave is coming up right after this hot towel. And as I said, due to editing, it looks like the towel's not been on very long, but we try to keep it on between 3 and 5 minutes each. Okay, now I'm putting on a non-scented aftershave balm. The particular one I'm using now is a Paladin. It's no longer made, but it's very light. It does not clog the pores at all, but what it does is it prevents that initial sting that most people get off the high alcohol content in the aftershave splashes. Plus, it gives an option for the people to have that. Now we're actually applying Parasso Green, which is an Italian aftershave. High alcohol content, but very light and citrus. And since we are in the beginning of summer here, we are getting to the point where it's very nice and refreshing. Now we take a towel out of the refrigerator, and this towel is wet, and it's probably around 39 degrees, and we will fan the client to cool everything down because the razor does, create some heat, with everything. And then we'll put this cold towel on their face, and it's extremely refreshing to the client. And this towel will stay on almost 8 minutes to 9 minutes to really let the client relax and cool off. And it's just a wonderful final touch for the client to seal everything in. And actually, it does seal the shave. Usually following this, we will put a little bit more aftershave on, and then we'll set up for the talcum. Now, due to timing, after we do the talcum, when we sit the client off, that will end the shave. But in this particular situation, he did a shave and a haircut. And so we did the haircut first, did the shave. Then after putting him up, we went ahead and shampooed his hair and then did the final styling. And those pictures will be in here as well. So where we did get that follicle, of course, we're putting a little bit of styptic powder to seal that up, and it wasn't a big deal. Okay, and now we're going to put the talcum. We use a Suavecito brand talcum that's lightly scented, but obviously we use Pinaud as well. And actually, I misspoke here. We actually used Pinaud Clubman for the aftershave. I usually keep a few aftershaves to give the client the choice, but the Pinaud Clubman is pretty much the standard when it comes to barbershop scents. Because Diamond Kuts Barbershop LLC is a retro-style barbershop, as I said, located just north of Tucson, Arizona. And we use the old-fashioned method of wrapping the towel with the powder. It gives us more control. And then, obviously, we use our neck dusters and stuff when we're going forward. So that is our basic 3-pass shave at Diamond Kuts Barbershop. I'm Master Shavologist and Master Barber Dave, and wanted to show everybody how we do things. So please come out and see us at Diamond Kuts Barbershop. Thank you.